And something that I think to ask you is like, what are you looking for? And not even from marriage, but just from life. Like, what are you looking for? Because it sounds like you are addicted to a feeling, possibly, or the chase of a feeling. Because like just say you want to get married and then just drive to Vegas is like, what the fuck? That's very impulsive.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is it?
I'm going to say this. Since my separation, I have done some very deep soul searching.
Yeah.
I have completely evaluated what that feeling was.
Yeah.
And it's cortisol.
What's that?
It's a hormone that causes fight or flight. I've had it since I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
When I used to get in trouble when I was a child, my mother in particular was a big lecturer.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt I deserved it, right?
Yeah.
No matter what it was, I always felt I deserved it. And my ex kind of has that same trait.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I was in a pattern of always having to hide something.
Yeah.
You know? And it's been finding out who I was versus what I'm thinking about now. It was I was in lizard brain.
Yeah.
Most of the time I was in survival mode.
Yeah.
It was always, when is the next argument coming around the corner? And whether or not it was caused by my actions or not, to be in that position of being in that childhood self of being yelled at for doing something wrong was constant.
Yeah. And that makes me want to ask you, how are you healing not only from this relationship, but just from the shit you experienced in your time of growing up? You know what I mean?
Well, I throw myself into my work.
Yeah.
And the satisfaction of finishing a project keeps me going.
Yeah.
Right? A new show on the horizon I have to prepare for, right?
Yeah.
A new gig that I have to get ready for. My friends and me were writing sketches. I mean, during the pandemic, handling this volatile relationship, I did like 2 music videos, made 2 comedy rap albums, created an entire miniseries, did sketches weekly.
Yeah.
And I was able to garner so many people. I did during the pandemic, we were doing shows right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, I went to a comedy show over there not too long ago, maybe like a week or 2 ago.
The pandemic really kind of made me explore everything that I ever wanted to do in comedy because the field was a little bit more clear.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people were staying inside. I refused.
Yeah.
I had to be out.
Yeah. But I mean, outside of your work, because I mean, you know, just us being creatives, it's easy to just dive into your work and be immersed in that. But, you know, when it all slows down, like, you know, how is Brinan tapped into Brinan? You know what I mean? Like, how are you connecting with yourself? Because, like, your work is an extension of you, but it's not fully who you are, if that makes sense. Because your work is not who's in these relationships.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do a lot of reading.
Yeah. Okay.
I do a lot of reading, and I do a lot of staring into space.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it means to feel fully at rest. Unless I'm completely unconscious.
Yeah.
And with that kind of being my MO, right? Just I operate at like 5 RPMs. Just my brain just works that fast. I can't stop it. It's just what it does.
Yeah.
And I started listening to a lot of binaural beats.
Okay.
I've been trying to do that. It's probably my main soundtrack, is trying to figure out what that means. How do I get my brain waves in alignment?
Yeah.
Right?
You ever tried therapy?
Oh, I'll get into this.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get into this. You would just open up a can of worms. So,
Yeah.
Okay. I have been through 4 therapists.
Wow.
Since the pandemic.
Wow.
And they all left for private practice.
Wow.
So I have abandonment issues on top of everything
Damn.
else. And so I've always had to retell this same story. I've always had to keep coming back to why do I feel this way, and it's always catching the therapist up.
Yeah.
Right. And and I feel like therapy is somewhat overrated, because a therapist is a friend that you pay to not have an opinion.
I do understand what you're saying, and I don't know if I consider that person a friend, because I know that I'm paying you, so I understand that what I'm saying has zero to fucking do with you, meaning the therapist. Because with a friend, at least for me, I don't like to unload on my friends because I know they have their own shit. But with this person, I don't give a fuck about their feelings, none of that shit. So I unload. And I'm not, like, for me, I'm not looking for anything from the therapist. I'm not looking for them to give me any advice or tell me anything. I just got to hear my shit out loud so that I can hear that shit, process that shit, and either dive deeper into it or, like, remove it, you know? Because sometimes you may say something out loud and that shit might not make no sense at all. That's what I'm saying. Like, you seem like a pretty conscious, self-aware person. So, like, hearing some of that shit out loud, it might make you say, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?